Hey guys, so this video is part 2 of my adventures as I was looking for this rare bee called the Mojave poppy bee. If you haven't watched video 1 yet, you might want to do that first to give some more background into this bee and the flower that it specializes on. Hey guys, so this is what I've learned so far. Maybe the biggest thing I've learned is that it pays to do your research before you go out in the field. I could have saved myself some pretty hot afternoons looking for poppy bees when apparently they fly most in the mornings. But I've found nothing so far here in Utah. So I went back to the original paper that described these bees, published in '93. In it, the author, Terry Griswold, who's a friend of mine, the author listed all the places where he had specimens from. And the vast majority of the bees were collected in Nevada and California, in those parts of the Mojave Desert. Here in Utah, we're at the very northernmost portion of the Mojave Desert. Just north of here a little bit, it turns to Great Basin and Colorado Plateau. So this is already kind of the edge population for a lot of Mojave Desert species, like this Perdita meconus, the fairy bee. Like this desert tortoise I found when I was hiking around earlier. But anyway, so I contacted Terry, and I got all of the data that he has on the fairy bee, and it turns out that the only place in Utah where this bee has ever even been collected is here at Beehive Dome, right there behind me. So even though there's poppies in several other locations in Utah, well, just right around here in the southern Washington County, this Perdita meconus has never been collected at any of those populations, just here at Beehive Dome. And I'm not sure why. I mean, Arizona is literally 100 yards that way, right over that hill. So it could be that maybe this is just slightly lower in elevation, slightly warmer or something, but for some reason, this is the only place that bee has been found. Also, I was looking at the dates of when the bee has been collected in the past. So it's been collected in the late 80s. The first time it was found was in 1988. Then it's also been collected in the early 90s. And about half the dates here in Utah when the bee was collected were in late May, like May 19th and 20th. The other half of the bees were collected in late April, like 24th, 25th of April. So today is May 4th. So I'm kind of right in between those dates. But we'll see what I can find. Another thing I noticed from looking at those kind of historical collections is that a lot of the collections, those done in California and Nevada, are kind of earlier in the year. Mid-April, late April, things like that. Nothing really into late May like we saw here in Utah. But that's not really unexpected. In fact, this part of Utah often is phenologically a week or two behind, not too far away in areas like near Mesquite, Nevada. So right now, Perdita meconus is active on poppy populations of different species of poppy near Mesquite, Nevada. My colleagues were there making observations and collections this week. But I'm wondering if maybe here in Utah I'm a week or two early. Another possibility that I've been kind of thinking about is phenological shifts. So, from one year to the next, spring comes early, spring comes a little bit late. And so the poppies don't bloom always at the same time from year to year. And the bees don't always come out from the same time from year to year. But there's been several studies on other plants and other populations that show with climate change, there's can be a kind of a shift when the bees and the plants no longer come out at the same time as each other. And if you're a generalist bee, this is okay because there's other plants around. But if you're a specialist, like Perdita myconis, it could be detrimental. So since we're here at the northern extent of the bees range and the poppies range, I'm wondering if maybe there's been a shift phenologically over the past 20 to 30 years that have made it so the bee and the flower no longer come out at the same time. So anyway, I'm gonna look again here at Beehive Dome for a little while. It looks like most of the collections were done between about 7 and 9 in the morning. So I'm gonna spend a couple hours here and walk around. If I don't find anything, maybe I'll come back in a couple weeks and see if I can find any bees looking at the remnants of the poppies, see what's happening. Just seems strange to me that they used to be here and now they're not. I know the researchers that recently published a paper about it suggested the feral honeybees are to blame. This Beehive Dome area said 60% of the flower visitors were feral honeybees, and they get up early and they drain the flower of their resources so there's no food left for the poppy bee. But based on other observations I've made, that doesn't seem to make sense. Plus, in that paper, they suggested that the grazing here has reduced the forage for other bees, especially honeybees, and so they're just going to the poppy. But there's plenty of other things blooming. There's indigo bush. I've seen lots of bees on it, like honeybees and even other little fairy bees, like this one right here, which is a great bee plant, lots of bees on it. There's princess plume, the genus is Stanleya. I've seen bees on that, including honeybees. There's lots of different flowering plants, and so it doesn't seem like competition would have driven the poppy bee away here. It seems like it's got to be something else, but I'm not sure what that is. So anyway, let's see what we find today. Well, again, today all I'm seeing is honeybees. Not seeing a ton, maybe one honeybee every 5th or 6th plant that I'm walking by. So there's still lots of flowers, lots of pollen resources out there. I'm just not seeing much on it. So I'm still doubtful of the honeybees outcompeting the fairy bees hypothesis. I think it's got to be something else. So I think tomorrow is when I'll head down to Nevada to the populations that I know are active right now of Perdita. And I'll see what I can find out from watching them and maybe getting some good pictures of them.